It's a wonderful Tuesday in the good land. Drew and KB bringing it to you from the Iron Jock studio inside the Megaplex. KB, it's been too long since we've heard this jaunty little number.
Has, and it can only mean one thing. And it's not that your TV is on too loud, you're in the other room and someone has stolen this song for a commercial. Because this song belongs to one man and one man only, and that man ain't John Oates. It's Aaron Nagler of Cheesehead TV. Nag, what is going on, my friend?
What's up, brother man? How are you guys doing?
It's
so
been
good
a
to
while.
be back with you. It's been too long.
It has. Good to catch up. And this is silly season, or thanks to Goody now, Nags, we have a new term that we can drop on you. Subterfuge season.
It's subterfuge season. I love that. That's so good.
Subterfuge.
And I love that he gave, props to Ted for basically teaching them the ways of subterfuge during his time as general manager with the Green Bay Packers. Absolutely love it.
I knew that there was subterfuge going on, but I didn't realize it went to the level of bringing guys in for visits, even though you have no intention.
Oh, 100%. That's been going on for a long time. I mean, Ted probably did more of that than Brian does. No question about it. And that's what's so funny to me, that the Packers aren't the only team that do that, right? Like, lots of teams bring guys in specifically to try and throw off other teams, what their interests might be, etc. So these guys are getting flown around the country. A lot of the times, some of the times, it's just for show. Just give them a great day at the ballpark and give them a nice meal and send them on their way, and they have no designs on actually drafting the kid. But they get to know him a little bit.
They get to know him a little bit, and then when it doesn't pan out at the place he gets drafted, you get him a.
You have a good book on him, right? I mean, that's happened.
That's happened.
I mean, look no further than their recent signing, Andre Dillard, the tackle that they got as a free agent a couple days ago. Had a pretty rough season with Tennessee last year, but they loved him. The Packers did in the draft process, and did indeed have him in for a pre-draft visit. So it's somebody they've already connected with. They know a little bit about him. You never know how these guys are going to kind of meander through the NFL and possibly end up being available later on.
So Nags, we've talked to you over the years, and you pretty much on the same camp as us that mock drafts generally aren't worth the paper they're printed on, and they're never even printed anymore. They're just internet.
The pixels they're utilizing.
So they're worth less than the paper that they would have been printed on if people still printed stuff out. But
truly,
however, just looked at one from Pro Football Focus, and they have the Packers taking Nate Wiggins, cornerback from Clemson, and with the next pick, they have Tampa Bay taking Kool-Aid McKinstry, and part of me wants the Packers to take Kool-Aid McKinstry just because they took HaHa Clinton Dix from Alabama, and they get another guy with a funny first name.
Absolutely.
All about the name. All name team. But that made me think, okay, maybe I should start preparing for the idea that they're going to take a cornerback with the first pick.
Oh, I think a corner is definitely in play there. There's no question. I think offensive tackle / O-line, cornerback. I even think linebacker is a possibility, though. I think Packers fans would probably howl at the overspend at that spot. But yeah, I think corner would not be a surprise. With the Wiggins thing, I could see it, but I think McKinstry is a much more Packers-like prospect as far as all of the pre-draft boxes you want to check at athletic testing, how he played in the system that he played in, height, weight, etc. I wouldn't be surprised if they took Wiggins, but I think either guy would come into Green Bay and immediately contribute, at least in sub packages.
Is going after a cornerback early, should that reflect all upon what they feel the future of Eric Stokes might be?
Well, I think there's uncertainty there, right? I don't know if it's a direct result or a reflection of, but I can't imagine a world where they come out of this weekend's draft without at least one corner being selected, if for no other reason than I don't know how you count on Eric Stokes. And that's not meant to diminish him in any way, his attempts to get back out on the football field, but he's been unable to. And when he has gotten back on the field, he hasn't looked very good. So I think, no doubt, it's kind of a bit of a last chance saloon for Stokes in Green Bay this season. But if you're counting on that, opposite Jair Alexander or your former 7th rounder, Carrington Valentine, who did play a ton of ball last year and some of it at a very high level, I just don't think you can see that and think, okay, these boxes are checked. We don't need to invest there. I think
Well,
if the value's there in the draft and that's, makes sense on their board, I don't think they hesitate just because they have Stokes already in the house.
is Stokes the only question mark? Because I seem to remember Jair missing some action last year too.
Well, hey, look, at least he's in town for the offseason this year, right?
Yeah,
Skipped
yeah.
last year. He's in town this year. I health-wise, he seems fine, right? It's always about how much buy-in you're getting from him, and it sure looks like, he's on board. New coordinator, new scheme, going to be asking him to do some different things probably. I think, yes, I think Jair, especially after all that transpired at the end of last year, the fact that they did just pay the guy, I think he's locked in. No question about it.
Okay. I'm talking to Aaron Nagler, cheeseheadtv.com, about the draft, which happens on Thursday. The fun starts on Thursday next.
The waiting starts on Thursday. Yeah, no doubt.
A lot of hurry up and wait. My favorite sports theory, regression to the mean, makes me a little nervous because the Packers had, to coin a phrase, Nags, a lot of ball game left.
Yes, sir.
It appears they had a very massively successful draft last year.
Well, no doubt about it. No question.
They have more picks than anybody else. Does that mean they'll use the capital to move up and be judicious that way, or will they turn it into even more picks and try to get more bites at the apple? What say you?
Definitely think it's the latter there, and I think Brian kind of echoed that idea. I think he was asked almost that question yesterday in his press conference, where he said, it's not in his nature to package picks and move up because he thinks, we're just a couple players away since we got deeper into the playoffs than most people probably expected last season. To your point, yeah, I think you want more swings at the plate or bites at the apple or whatever you want to call it. The draft is such a crapshoot. It's such a darts game, as far as throwing and trying to hit a target. I do think the more opportunities you give yourself, the better off you're going to be. And I think that's how Brian wants to operate. That doesn't mean he won't trade up for someone. We've seen him do it plenty of times. I do think it would take an awfully special player for him to do so, though. And I know a lot of fans look at the team last year, what they accomplished, and think, we're right, we're ahead of schedule, so to speak, or, we got close to the NFC Championship game. A few pieces will put us over the top. I'm thankful the Packers don't view it that way. Brian Gutekunst doesn't view it that way. It's about breeding competition and elevating that floor, that talent floor across your roster to make your entire team better. I think that, coupled with development from within, that's what's exciting for Green Bay heading into 2024.
How much chaos will there be this year, Nags, with all these quarterbacks up top? And how much, the first round's always volatile.
Yes,
it is. It is. There's always a few surprises, right? And I was actually just talking to someone with the Packers about this today. The fact that you look at yourself sitting there at 25, and if there is a year where you're thankful where all these quarterbacks are in play, this is it, because it's going to push talent down the board. Now obviously you don't expect like blue chip top 15 players to make it to the Packers at 25, but there's going to be guys at least within striking distance that I think some fans might be surprised by, just because so many teams are jockeying to try and land a quarterback at the top of this draft. There could be 5, maybe even 6 quarterbacks taken even before the Packers are on the clock. That's crazy and good for the Packers in the sense that it drives all that non-quarterback talent down to them.
Well, I will, in taking a look at the quarterbacks, is one name that jumps out with me. And whoever, if they waste, and I'm saying waste.
Oh boy, here we go.
Their first round pick on this quarterback, if they don't have a quarterback that is competent already, that GM is an idiot. And I'm going to tell you who I think it is. And it's not Caleb Williams.
Who's that?
It's Drake Mays.
Ooh,
Drake May.
Big swing.
You know why?
Why is that?
He's 20.
He is 20.
He's 20. I'm serious.
Yeah, I hear you.
There's a lot of growing up to do at the age of 20.
There is.
There's a big difference between boys and I don't care if you're a great athlete, there is a lot of physical growing up to do. And if you take him in the first round and you throw him into the fire, you will fail.
I think there's a decent chance. There's a decent chance that would happen. But I do think whoever takes him will undoubtedly have some kind of stopgap / bridge quarterback to at least take those snaps week 1 and possibly longer because of what you're talking about. But at the same time, I don't expect most teams are at the top of the draft because they are very bad. And if you come into the next season with your bridge quarterback or whoever and you lose a bunch of games, eventually you're going to want to get that young guy on the field. And I don't think it's the world's worst idea. what you're talking about as far as make sure you don't throw them into the fire. But at the same time, the league skews younger and younger every year. And I get what you're saying, especially about, the fact that if you're 20 and all of a sudden you're thrown into the NFL, which is a monster shift as far as what's being asked of you as a professional athlete comparative to what you were doing in college. Yeah, there's certainly a chance for to go down in flames, so to speak. But like I said, there's no substitute for experience. There's no substitute for getting out there and playing those games and taking those reps. And I do think if a team ends up taking him, he's going to be out there sooner rather than later.
Well, he comes out of North Carolina and you get the ACC, right?
Right.
And you go, well, he played in college. Those guys are all big. Well, sure, but
a little
he
different.
played against
It's a little different.
Right. He played against teams that maybe on the high side will have 5 guys drafted.
Right.
By an NFL team, not the SEC, really.
No. A lot of competition with the future gym teachers of America, no doubt.
Right, and that's what I'm saying is that okay, you played against teams that might have 4 or 5 guys that are in the NFL, and now you're going to play against everyone who's in the NFL.
Yes, the top 1% of the top 1%. No question
always
about it.
Culture shock, always. All right, next, couple of more things for you here. First of all, someone on the talking text line said they're glad that you chose to spend some time with us instead of watching the Premier League match that's going on.
I watched the first half, and then I had to get ready for this spot and get ready for my own live stream. And you know what? I knew Chelsea was overmatched, so I understand they're trying to stick it to me here, but they're not telling me anything I don't already know. I appreciate their concern.
I mean, 5-0, no need to tune back in.
You know what? You don't need it. I knew it was 3-0. I don't need the update, Drew.
That's
fine.
okay.
I'm good over here. Hey,
good.
look. Everyone used to tease me because I was a Chelsea fan when they were winning. Oh, you're a front runner, whatever. I'm still a Chelsea fan. They suck now, and I'm still a fan.
Now you're still with the Blues.
Come at me, bro.
Rapid fire.
Right,
Nags, is this the best time of the year for Cheesehead TV traffic? How does it compare to the regular season?
Oh, it's up there. It is definitely up there. I will say nothing will ever top Aaron Rodgers' drama, though. I literally thanked him that summer after he came back, this summer of discontent. I thanked him in the locker room because we'd never seen numbers like that.
Well, but this is such a high interest thing.
Oh, 100%. It's the draft. Everyone loves it.
The other questions, and by the way, we're 51 hours, 25 minutes, and 16 seconds away from the draft.
Let's go.
They got the ticker on ESPN right now. The 2 questions that everybody asks, Nags, is who do you want the Packers to take with their first pick on Thursday? Right. And then who do you think they will take?
That's so funny. Just had this conversation with a buddy of mine. I really want Cooper DeJean. I'm a simple man. I think it's the obvious pick. I think it makes a ton of sense.
Back-to-back years with an Iowa defender.
Huh? I love his game. I love that you can really plug him in and play him all over your secondary. I love the way he would complement what they're doing on the defensive back end. But who I think they'll end up taking, probably Guyton or Mims or one of those offensive tackles, whoever falls to them, whoever's got the most upside. And I know the thing, Mims especially, he's a little bit outside of their normal thresholds, but I think they really like him. And if he's available, I think there's a decent chance they take him.
What about the guy from Arizona? Morgan?
Morgan? There's a possibility. I think there's a chance the Packers probably like him better than maybe the public does. We made a video about him at Cheesehead TV, and I like his game. I just think I'm really intrigued by Mims. I know he hasn't played a ton, but you talk about if you hit his upside, and I think this is how the Packers would view it, man, you've got, an absolute bookend for a decade plus, a kid who hasn't even begun to scratch his potential. That's where I think they'll go.
Can they draft an offensive lineman and then kind of just hide him and bring him along? Is that what they've been doing with Caleb Jones?
Well, that's the fun part, right? Is you got to figure it's a long-term investment. Does Caleb Jones look at that and go, "Well, wait a second. Guys have been having me on the farm, so to speak, for 2 years now. Do I get a chance?" Yeah, I think he was hurt last summer, so he didn't really get an opportunity. But I don't think it's a question of you can't draft someone because you got Caleb Jones or any of these other guys in the stable. You still, if that's the best value, that's the most upside, you still pull the trigger, no doubt.
I know you're going to love whoever the Packers take.
Hey, man, I'm all in. It'd be really hard. I have not been upset about a Packers selection since they took Kenny Clark. I was mad that they didn't get Mack, the linebacker that I wanted, and then Kenny became one of my favorite players of all time. I gave up getting mad at Packers draft picks a long time ago.
That's what I thought. And next, because we haven't chatted in a while, your thoughts about the Packers opening in Sao Paulo against the Eagles?
Dude, I can't wait. Are you kidding me? I'm just the fact that we got to go to London a couple years ago, and now I'm headed to Brazil to watch the Packers, and it's at a quote neutral field, which is going to be filled with Packers fans. We got one up on the Eagles already before we even step on the grass. I'm all about it. I love it. I'm excited.
It's I'd rather play them there than at the
And in
Link.
Philadelphia, 100 billion%. And look, don't get it twisted. I know you guys have talked to some of the Brazilian fans on your program. I don't think we as Americans really comprehend how rabid these Brazilian Packers fans are. They are going to show up for this game. I'm so excited.
It's going to be fun. All right, Nags. We only got to kill 51 more hours and 22 minutes till we can get to the draft.
I may just watch old drafts. I'm gonna load up old ESPN highlights from here in New York when they were at the Madison Square Garden Theater, and Berman would be trying to talk.
Johnny
All you would hear is
Jones.
Jets fans booing. I'm on.
All in on that. Classic. Have a great day, Nags. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Thanks for having me, guys. Take it easy.
All right, Aaron Nagler.